Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
And in case you're doing this for the first time, you have the chance to win one of the Bose noise cancelling headsets. Each month we're giving away one of them. Take your opportunity and win the Bose noise cancelling headsets.
Welcome back on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. It's Alexander speaking, your host, and with me coming in from Zurich is René Weber. A warm welcome from Vienna, René.
Hi Alexander, welcome back from Switzerland.
René Weber is director at Bank Vontobel in Zurich, and he is a well-known luxury analyst. You probably already have seen some videos we did together. And just today, new export figures have been released, and this is the reason why I'm talking to René. Can you give us some insights and how you see those figures now after the situation with COVID-19 is a little bit changing everywhere?
Yeah, I think we clearly can see in the numbers that we have seen some reopenings of stores, but also the same important reopening of the production here in Switzerland. So if you look back in April, we had a decline of 81% in Swiss watch export, the worst ever since history. Also May was a minus 68%, and now in June we are now down to minus 35%. It's still a strong decline, but at least it's much of an improvement compared to the 2 months before. If you look into details, interestingly, for the first time we have China being very strongly up. China was up in exports by 48%. So that's the main reason why we have an improvement. All the other markets are still quite strongly down. So Hong Kong is minus 55%. The US is minus 57%. So a lot of markets are still suffering very much. But China, yes, that's the other way around.
Is it something that you expected, that China is recovering so quickly?
Yeah, I think there are two reasons. On one hand, they are the first ones who opened already the stores before the other ones. And on the other hand, the Chinese do not travel anymore. Therefore, they buy everything domestically. And that, of course, is helping them very much. And therefore, now in June, China was the #1 market for Swiss watch export. If you look for the first half year, they are almost now on the same level as the US. Both have roughly 16% of total, and it's quite sure already next month, if you count that together, China will be the #1 market for the Swiss watches.
But then we also have to say that there will be a shift from all traveling countries where the Chinese used to travel back to mainland China, and mainland China is taking advantage and all the other countries are suffering.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. Of course, Hong Kong, that's the typical one, where usually up to 80% of total sales went to the Chinese tourists. They are still down by more than minus 50 in June and the first half year. But we'll also see big impact here in Europe. Switzerland, unfortunately, we do not have numbers here, but Switzerland will suffer very much. If you look in Europe itself, we have now quite similar situation. UK for the first half year is down by 44%, Germany by minus 43%, France minus 43%. So here the Chinese are already missing very much.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Besides this, we also saw some figures coming from Richemont and from Swatch Group. They both just presented some figures. Swatch Group did last week, I think Richemont a couple of days before. What do these figures say in comparison with the export figures? Is it an analogy, or are those figures shifting?
No, at Swatch Group, it's even worse. If you look to the first half year, they had a decline of 46%. But of course, Swiss watch export is not directly comparable to first half year figures of Swatch Group. And for the first time in history, Swatch Group had a loss in the first half year. On the other hand, Richemont as a group, it was just for 1 quarter, is also down by minus 37%. But there, if you just look in terms of watches, they also had a decline of minus 45%. But that Richemont is also very much in jewelry and also into online e-commerce. Their decline as a group was clearly less than it was the case with Swatch Group.
Mhm. And when we look a little bit into figures about price ranges, meaning which of the categories are suffering less and which are suffering more, what do you see there?
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, because it's also the case at Swatch Group. As Swatch Group is quite strong in low and mid end, and low and mid end was declining much faster. So if you look to the first half year overall, it's a minus 35%. The low end was down minus 44%, the mid end minus 50%. So the only one which really is outperforming is the high end. It's also declining by 33%, but clearly doing better than the low and mid end.
Can you just define for our viewers high end? Where are these categories starting? So someone who is not into, as we are,
Right.
can imagine what figures with what numbers or what prices we are talking about?
Yeah, it's an export value of 3,000 Swiss franc. If you look into retail, we talk about 7,000 Swiss franc. That's the high end.
Price per watch sold.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And of course, low end, if we talk about, it's below 200 Swiss franc export, which means roughly 400 or 500 Swiss franc retail. Therefore, it's mainly the Swatch brand, which is in that category.
Okay. Is there anyone taking over this business, or is this a business that is simply lost and not being taken over by any other competitor or?
Yeah, no, it's a replacement at the end. I think the
Okay.
new category of smartwatches really has an impact on the low and the mid end. So the Apple Watch, the Garmin, the Fitbit, all these watches, smartwatches, they play an important role in comparison to the low and mid end here in Swiss Watch export figures.
I think we also do have the first time realistic figures showing how strong Apple has become. Meanwhile, this is quite threatening when you see these figures. It's not only the number one. Please, René.
Yes, I think when we look back 2018, when we did the last time this comparison, Apple was the first number one, for the first time, the number one watch brand, if you call it a watch brand.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. We have to be a little bit careful. I'm not very comfortable calling an Apple Watch a watch. It is called watch. For me, it stays a electronic consumer good or whatsoever, a bonsai iPhone or whatsoever. It's okay. It's my personal opinion, but I wouldn't call this a wristwatch in the classical way we think about it in Switzerland.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's also much more now, we call it a medical device.
Yes.
So it's not really a watch anymore, but still, if you compare it as a watch, then yes, now 2019 was the first time that Apple was bigger than the largest watch producer, which was Swatch Group up to now. It has now more sales than Swatch Group as a total. And the year before, already as a brand, it was bigger than Rolex. So that shows how important the impact was. And also, if you look to the list, I think in the top 10, we already have 3 so-called smartwatches. So it's not just Apple, but it's also Garmin and it's also Fitbit, which is now part or will be part of Google. So you see that these smartwatches will play an important role, especially against the low and the mid end.
Is there more growth possible? Do you think that there's more growth in the future?
You mean for smartwatches?
Yes.
Yes. I think that will be the case because I think, as I mentioned, it moves much more into medical devices. So in the future, probably you will see some possibilities what they can measure, which you have not seen up to now. Each time when there is a new edition, there is new measurement possible. And so each time it will be more interesting. And therefore, I think growth in that category will continue. Swatch Group also will start now in the second half year with the Tissot Connected, but it does not go in direction of a medical device. It's more of a, let's call it a smartwatch, a connected watch, and it's really missing the future of a medical device.
It might follow later. You don't know yet which developments are going to come. But end of the day, it is, and this is probably also interesting. Mr. Hayek said it in a press conference a couple of months ago. It is the first smartwatch connecting to the new Chinese operating system that Huawei has been inventing. and it's the only one being able to work with that operating system. So.
Yeah, you can say that's an advantage, but I believe the disadvantage that it not can measure some of the health points. It's more important than just this connection possibility to the Chinese company.
We will see. Yeah, we will see. We will see. René, how do you think, or what do you think will happen if there is such a concentration on the high end in Switzerland? Not every brand can go in that price league to sell watches in retail for 6,000 and plus. What will happen to many of the brands below this? Why we just saw the figures. The one segment is not suffering so much, but all the others are. What you estimating will happen to the others, or what will be solutions for them?
Yeah, I think we already see now that the low and mid end will suffer even more, and probably will see some companies which will not be there anymore next year. Probably also some high-end brands which are small and already had financial problems before. They will have difficulties. And so at the end, I think we'd already talked last time about that the larger ones will become even larger and therefore are continuing to gain market share.
I remember you gave us that very interesting sheet showing those, I think it was 20 brands that probably will survive, and all the others you said, okay, question mark, and you still stick to this.
Yeah, I would not say that just 20 will survive. It's just a list of the top 20.
I don't remember. Was it 25 on that?
Yeah, 25.
Okay, 25.
No, I think when you look to the total Swiss watch industry, we talk about roughly 600 brands. And we mentioned already in April that probably 50 up to 100 brands will disappear in the coming years because there will be not enough support also from the watch retailers. When you talk to the large retailers, most of them have probably 20, 30 brands in their portfolio. And it will be difficult for other brands to jump into that channel. And at the end, that continues to be an important channel. So the Buchers, the Watch of Switzerland, Kirchhofer, all these names, they depend very much on the large names.
Talking about the Buchers, the Kirchhofers, and the big ones in Switzerland, what will happen to them? I've just been to Switzerland for filming at Omega, and I passed through Zürich airport, and I have to tell you, yes, was one of my most frustrating moments I had for a long time. Coming to an airport I usually see as a very busy airport. You see people running, trying to catch their flights. You see people smiling, chatting. Empty. It was ghost town. It was really scary.
Did you see the watch retailers there? Was it closed? Or?
Yes, most of them were closed. Omega was open. Some multi-brand stores were open. Bucherer was closed. It was, I would say, half of them open, half of them closed. So really frustrating. And all the restaurants, bars were closed. So you were forced to buy. I bought me Rivella, you know, that famous Swiss drink at the kiosk, and I had to sit down somewhere on an empty chair. It was frustrating.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that will clearly be a difficult situation this year as no Chinese are traveling. And so if you go to Interlaken, where Kirchhofer is the number one, I'm not sure if he will open up again. If I listen to Jungfraubahn, the railway which goes up to the mountain, they now try to get as much Swiss people to this place as possible because the Chinese are not there. And of course, that means that Kirchhofer will have difficulties to find clients. The same is true for Bucher in Lucerne. Lucerne was full of the Chinese, and today if you go to Lucerne, it's an empty place. I will go there tomorrow, and I'm sure I will be one of the only ones walking around Lucerne.
Oh my goodness. Your estimation. In April, you gave us your estimations. Did you change your mind, or do you stick to what you said before? What will 2020 be, and what will happen in 2021 in the first and second half? What do you think?
Yeah. No, in April we said will be for the full year -25. If you look now for the first half year, which is -35, yes, I still believe it's possible, the -25. So I clearly expect that we see an improvement now in the coming months, but I think it's a little bit on the optimistic side. Probably it will be somewhere between -25 and -30. Of course, if there is a second wave, then we would have another issue again. But I think overall now for the coming months, also due to the fact that the factories are open again, and for example, Swatch Group mentioned that they should come back to 100% production capacity in September. So I mean, then at least there is also the production available and watches will be available in the market afterwards, which is currently still not the case. So most of them talk about being open for 60-70% of their total capacity.
So then let's hope, yes. René Weber, Bank Vontobel, Zurich, joining us today. Thank you very much for another update, René. Stay
Welcome.
safe. All the best. And next time we meet, we will see if after the summer holidays, I think when the next figures come out, we will meet again, and then we will see how things develop and if we have improvements or not. And I hope so. I wish you all the best.
I hope
summer.
so too.
Good.
I wish you the same too.
And see you.
Great summer holiday.
Thank you very much. I stay at home in Austria, making holidays in Austria this year.
Sounds good too.
Yes, maybe I'll go to Switzerland to do some filming, and but this will be the longest journey. Will be probably Zurich or Geneva by plane. Okay. Thank you, René. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
And yes, if you have comments or questions to make, please use the comment section as always. And goodbye for now from Zurich and Vienna. Bye-bye.
Tschüss.